Welcome to the BobbleOn podcast,
where we're committed to providing practical advice and strategies to increase your revenue, unify your team, and create accountability throughout your organization.
Let's go. Welcome back, BobbleOn podcast.
BobbleOn podcast. Best time of the week.
Best time of the week.
And we are, I'm excited because we determined recently that we're going to really focus a little bit more on sales and really dive back into. So we talk a lot about business development, networking strategy originally.
Yeah.
And we talk about macro level things and organizational habits, that kind of stuff. Really focusing on sales, which really speaks to a lot of people and the need out there.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think a lot of what we're going to be doing the next couple podcasts, and I'm not going to call this a season per se, but the next little idiom of this BobbleOn podcast is just a straight give on sales tactics, sales techniques. I wouldn't necessarily go into it into like individual conversation, objection resolution. I think that's what's more management training per se, what you want to do. But what we know is insurance should be made simple. It's not hard to sell what we're selling, and let's keep it simple. Let's go over simple sales tactics, how to organize your day, how to tackle certain conversations. Have some fun.
Yep. So today we're specifically talking about maximizing policies per client. So in the sales process, you have a prospect, whether it's commercial or personal, but maximizing the number of policies we sell that client, so we know there's a ton of reasons why, a ton of benefits why, I won't go through them, why that's really important, not just for return on investment and time, but also in retention.
Yep, absolutely. But I need to hear what your personal best, the first personal best of 2020. There's a lot of gravity to that.
Yeah, all right. Well, I had a lot to choose from. I've done a ton of stuff last week with Parker, without Parker. Made sure that once we got into the condo, we had a lot of bandwidth, and we wanted to make sure that we kicked the year off strong. But I would have to say that the personal best last week was booking our first trip together. Sadie, myself, and Parker. Parker didn't really help, but he was there, and he's going to be involved.
He made it more expensive.
He made it a lot more expensive. So we're flying JetBlue, and we are going to the Bahamas for 4 days in March.
Sick.
And we just so excited. So Belle's going to go to daycare overnight for a few days, and Parker's going to hitch a ride. We got him a lap infant, so it doesn't cost anything, except all of it when we get there. And we found a good spot, and we can't wait to get there. Neither one of us has ever been there, and we haven't taken a vacation in a while, so we're both really looking forward to it. Sadie goes back to work, next week, so it'll be nice, kind of take a couple months in to kind of take a few days off.
It's awesome. So she goes to work, and then 8 weeks later she's on vacation.
Right.
Sick.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Yeah, we're super pumped.
Yeah.
Just chill, relax, take some time on the beach.
How did you guys pick the Bahamas?
Really, it was just like JetBlue hit me up with travel vacation options, and they were like $100 credits, and it wasn't a huge thing, but I needed some direction.
See that? Email drip marketing.
Yep, it worked.
Do it.
JetBlue Vacations. Yeah, 19 out of 20 JetBlue emails I delete. That one I didn't. I looked it up, and I was like, hey, you know what? Never been to the Bahamas. Have you been to the Bahamas? She says, no, I haven't been to the Bahamas.
Such a great lesson on timing. It's like JetBlue. It's like January 1st.
Oh, yeah.
January 2nd.
Oh, yeah.
Pew, pew.
Oh, I got like 30 emails from JetBlue in the last week and a half.
So smart.
Nuts.
Hey, that works.
Yeah, it works. And we wanted to do something for a long time, so it's the right timing. We were candidates. They could have hit me up for probably a couple more if they sent follow-ups. If JetBlue's listening.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, good for you, man.
What about you?
Actually, a great start to 2020 so far. We've had a really good time, but for me, the best personal for the week was we were sitting down for breakfast the other day, and Mason and I are just sitting there, and he opens the door for Kenzie every morning. Kenzie goes out back. Now, in our backyard, we have tons of wildlife last couple of years. A lot of deer, a lot of foxes, turkeys. It's just kind of wild how it's been in our backyard. But anyways, I reference that because we always check to make sure there's nothing in the backyard before we let Kenzie out. Nothing out, let Kenzie out. She goes in the backyard, she does her thing. We have no fence, so she can kind of go anywhere, but she's pretty good. And Mason and I are just sitting there, and we're just eating. He's eating Cheerios, and all of a sudden he looks at me and goes, "Oh, wow, And I was like, what? He goes, Kenzie's chasing a fox. I was like, what? Turn around, and Kenzie is literally, she's gone. She is flying after this fox, which could be dangerous, as you know. So I grab my boots and go back up and go, Kristen and I freak out, and we get the dog. Everything's fine. But the best moment of the day was, best moment of the week, we brought Kenzie back in. Mason looked up at Kristen, and I was like, did I save the day? We're like, save the day. Save the day.
That's great.
But like literally, you know our backyard. It's not crazy big, but you got a hill with some woods. I don't know where Kenzie would have went.
Yeah.
And she actually didn't even have her collar on.
Wow.
Stupid. But
plus, the fox could have just woken up, realized it was Kenzie, and then just ran after Kenzie.
I know. I couldn't realize it was a fox.
Kenzie's not like a huge dog.
No.
Definitely not like ferocious.
No, 50-pound dog, she'd be in trouble. Especially the foxes typically go in packs.
Yeah.
But anyways, it was just so funny that he just looks up and was like, oh, fox, that's pretty cool. That's fun. That's funny. Isn't that cool, Dad?
I saved the day.
I'm like, actually, that's not cool. That's not cool at all. So, shout out Mason. If you listen to this in a couple of years, you're the man.
Does he have any interest in starting a farm, given how many animals, like breeds of animals, you have in the backyard?
Emma is way more interested in animals than Mason.
Uh-huh.
Mason's more just like, that's cool, they're there.
Right.
He loves horses, he loves sheep, he loves everything. But our friends, the Hickeys, they're much more hands-on. Like if a chicken comes around, they'll grab a chicken. Mason will just be like, nah.
Yeah, let that guy go.
Yeah, I'm all good with that.
Yeah, I think I would be too. I think I'm more Mason on that end.
Yeah.
I appreciate animals, but I wouldn't necessarily grab one that's wild.
Emma will grab and hold. Mason, when we go to farms and whatnot, Mason won't even touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good.
Have you guys ever thought about like having like a chicken coop or to get your own eggs, or is that something that's just like totally off?
0 days.
Yeah, 0 days.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people do.
I respect people who have chicken coops,
Mm-hmm.
and I hope they're like 2 houses away from me.
Right.
Yeah.
At least 2.
It's a good
distance. But less than 10.
Yeah.
So that you can get free eggs.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you have a chicken coop, hit me up in the DMs. I'll be by once a week.
Wait. What if someone hits you up from like Utah? You're gonna go there?
Shout out FedEx.
That'd be some nice packaging. You spend more money on the packaging than the eggs.
Right. All right, so let's talk about this. So let's go back to maybe 2010, 2013 when you and I were doing all the sales. Yeah, right? Scary moment.
That's scary.
7 plus years ago. When you think about you and I would say we were above average in sales, but we were way above average in sales habits, techniques.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't say we could talk around it. We couldn't create need if there wasn't there. I don't think many people can. But where we were really excelled was calendar reminders, making sure that we stayed on tack. And if you set something, I know you were going to follow through and do it.
Yeah.
Now, that got us by this problem a little bit, but in other ways, you couldn't stop it sometimes if you would call people after the fact, right?
Yeah, I think, looking back then, part of the reason why we were able to sell what we sold was mainly because we were like desperate to get it done. Like we had to convert, and we had to convert as many opportunities as possible. But a lot of people aren't in that position. Mm-hmm. And the challenge that you run into is that you have a prospect, you've got a bunch of other quotes going that you need to do and make sure to get out there. And that prospect's very, very focused on what they need help with that minute. They tell you what they want, and then you just are an order taker and you run through it. So back then, we were desperate to cross-sell and desperate to write more policies because we needed the premium, but not necessarily because we were following a process repeatedly and consistent that we knew was the right thing for us.
Yeah. So to paint the picture, client calls in and says, Matt, I'm closing on a property in 2 months. I need a home policy. You were recommended by XYZ. In the past, you would always bring up auto, but I know you and I would almost say it as, hey, it reduces your home premium, or hey, our best clients typically, and you try to get multiple policies.
Right.
If the client gave a hard stop and a hard objection, you're kind of stuck there. Right. If the client says, I'm only calling you to figure out my home insurance, it's not like you have 45 more punches to give.
Right.
Because you're right, we're desperate. We have to obtain money and premium.
Yeah.
So eventually you would say some combination of, hey, send me a copy of your stuff. I'll set a calendar reminder. When it comes up for renewal, we'll chat.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we operated.
Yeah, yeah. Or we'll apply the discount, and we'll get this done in the next couple of months.
Yep.
But there's 3 layers that you just identified there. The first layer, which is the worst, which is like hey, I'm calling for a home policy. I need that. Okay, no problem. And you don't even try to cross sell, which a lot of people do.
Majority.
They just, hey, I got to get as many of these done.
I'm so grateful you called.
So I'm really, really grateful.
Yeah.
The second tier is what you just explained, where you make the attempt to cross sell, but it's more of a request. And you then try to frame it for the reason why they need to do it. Like, hey, can you send me your auto policy? I'll quote that as well. And the reason it's good for you is because X, Y, Z. And you just threw out some examples. The third is really where we want everyone to go, and that's really the assumptive play and building it into the process.
And it's where we were successful is that we had processes on how to follow up. But secondarily, you and I excelled at how we brought it up when we called the client. And even still, it didn't work very well. Because if you called that person on the auto renewal date and you had a perfect quote and they didn't pick up the phone, heaven forbid, it might not make the top of your list the next day and the next day and the next day because you have more leads coming in.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, by the time it's time to follow up, it's almost a cold lead already. So you've spent maybe, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 phone calls and maybe 2 or 3 hours on the front end selling them originally and getting the binder to the bank and making sure everything is smooth and onboarded. And then you calendar it, and then you do the entire thing all over again. But even worse, it could expand and go into 3 or 4 weeks of follow-up because this person's not expecting your call. They're not interested in what you're calling about at that moment. So you are like left powerless. Yet it's now another pipeline management issue that you have to address routinely, and it's a prospect that may only have one opportunity to sell a policy to.
Yeah, and we looked at it the same way you just described as how come you wouldn't want to bring your auto over? You're bringing your home over. There's major savings. Why wouldn't you want to do this? But now that you and I can put our feet in the client's shoes of buying homes, we understand you just bought a condo. You get it forefront of your mind. Can you imagine if someone followed up in a couple weeks and just said, hey, we talked about your auto that one time and you didn't really want to talk about it because you were a little busy, but now's the perfect time and I have some savings. You're like, bro, I'm buying furniture for my condo. I'm switching mailing addresses for 17,000 things. I got a new bank. By the way, my mailbox is totally full with flyers because I'm a new homeowner and somehow I'm getting sold 17,000 ways. I'm going to the Bahamas. I'm super excited. Like, don't. You have too much going on.
We sometimes overestimate the importance that we have in our clients' lives. Because like, you and I, if you have a laundry list of to-dos on a week in coming week, if insurance is one of them, it's far down the list. And we're insurance people. Like, let alone someone who has no care, no knowledge, no interest. Like, we are not going to be top of mind. And so one issue with this is that, and I guess coming back to the sort of bigger picture, why like maximizing policies matter so much is that, one, for our own sake, it's a huge burden on us because we should be spending time networking. We should be spending time getting more referrals. We should be spending time proposing more policies to other prospects. We shouldn't be following up with clients we already sold to. So pipeline management's not as strong. We won't sell as much because of it.
No.
2, we're not going to get as many policies, which means we're simply not going to get as much premium. So we're not going to make as much revenue, and that matters. Simple put. And 3, retention. And it's proven statistically that if you sell someone one policy, your retention is going to be 15 to 20% lower than if you sell them 2 or more. And it's simple. Like if I had one policy with you and one policy with someone down the street, and one of you calls me once a month for the next year, there's a good chance I move forward. So the other person loses out. You're renting a client when you sell them one policy. We've talked about this for years.
Well said. And the data that we've seen together goes one step further and says if you bind multiple policies on the exact same day, the retention's even greater.
The same effective date?
Yeah. So that's I'm not calling that new data, but that's data that hasn't been studied for 10, 15
A lot of
years.
people don't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's data that when you and I saw the light bulbs went off, it's like that makes sense. If you have multiple renewal dates multiple times in the year, you have multiple times to shop.
You're reminded multiple times you're paying for this damn thing. It makes so much sense. So if you wait, you're hurting yourself because you have to then follow up again on something you already converted, and it's a lower chance of converting it again. You're going to get lower retention in general, just because you're renting a client with one policy. They're reminded multiple times if you actually sell them on different effective dates that they should be shopping and looking elsewhere.
Amen. So when we look at this, there are going to be people out there listening who think to themselves, I've built an incredible email drip marketing. I've built an incredible reminder system. That doesn't happen to me. I get it all. That's fine. We know if you check your data, that's actually not true. But even if you are correct, as you laid it out, it's a lot of effort going into that when it's like almost easy choices, hard life, hard choices, easy life. The hard choice is developing a system where you upfront win way more. It's having those difficult conversations and actually hearing the no thanks, I'm not interested in the whole package, as opposed to, yeah, sure, I'm going to rent the client. So to be a little bit more specific, where you and I have went is I would rather lose the home because I presented the auto, home, flood, umbrella life, and I was confident that was the best plan, then grab the home and then try to layer it on down the road.
100%. And it's hard to think that way in the moment. It's hard for a lot of people listening to actually say, like, I'm going to risk converting this client to get more out of it. But it's the absolute right way to think of it. I think the three things that come to mind about, and we'll dive into how we do it, but to give yourself the best chance of converting multiple policies per client, it's what you say to the prospect, how you say it, and when you say it.
Good point.
And I think that if you make a mistake on one of those three, it's challenging. And you framed it earlier perfectly. It's like, if you say like, hey, I would like to quote your blah, 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 all they're hearing is that you're selling me on something. Yeah, you're selling me on something that you sell and that I'm not calling for. I'm not interested. And this is assuming someone's calling for home, but it goes vice versa. If someone's buying a car and calling you. And
it works in every industry.
Yeah.
If you approach a financial advisor and all you do is a 529, if all that, I have Parker as a newborn and I need a 529 plan. Wonderful. I'll execute that 529 plan. You have no idea what's going on the rest of Matt and Molly's life, and then you're an order taker.
Right.
Whereas the correct financial advisor obviously takes it all. So this goes across all industries. But I think how you and I want to approach this, we almost want to just give one way to do it. We don't want to give 17,000 ways. There's technology out there that we know will help you with this. We've seen other industries layer reminders as to the value of doing everything together. But the way that you've designed the sales process to go through, let's just hit them with one technique that can be easy to implement.
Yeah, and I think going back to the what, when, and how, it's all at one moment. So the what is, you need to be assumptive and you need to present that this is a commitment that you have to the client. This isn't a request for my benefit. This is a commitment for your benefit. That's the what. The how, it's very assumptive. It's very assumptive. There is no other way to say it. It's extremely assumptive and it's in their best interest. The when is early. We wait too long and then we bring it up once we've already gone through a deep part of the conversation. So what we have our team and we recommend a lot of BobbleOn clients do is within the very first conversation, within the very first 5 minutes of the very first conversation, this person is referred into you, talk to them. Obviously you build rapport first. You ask them just some open-ended questions to open up the conversation. But then you go through. You start your process and say, we have a proven process. And part of that is a commitment to every one of our clients. It's a commitment to not only educate you on all the forms of risk in your life, but then provide you protection and plan offerings that'll help cover you if those things happen. And that's our commitment to you. We're not an order taker, home policy sale company.
No, that is so different. So when you listen to this, one, listen to that again. But number two, this is not, hey, at GNN Insurance, what we really like to do is we really like to have all of our clients have auto, home, umbrella, flood.
Mm-hmm.
That is so improperly said, but if I listen to what you just said once, I might hear it that way.
Right.
I might hear it as, okay, I need to make sure I offer all four. No, that's not what we're doing. In other industries, this is phrased as when you drive up to a Starbucks window and the very first thing the person at the Starbucks window says in the drive-thru is, can I start your food order right now? Can I do something like that? It's like, you didn't even ask anything about what's going on. And I think Starbucks does a lot right, but that part they don't do right. In the insurance process, it'd be the same way. It's like, I'm coming in for a home quote. Hey, let me get that auto, home, umbrella, flood, life, pet policy started for you right now.
Oh, yeah.
No. Settle.
I've already started it. Yeah, we're on our way.
Yeah. No, that's not what you said.
Yeah. No, it's if we look at it from a human perspective, like we have the ability to protect our clients. We have the ability, if they're buying a home, that's fantastic. We have the ability to protect that asset. Something happens, the place burns down, we know that it can be made whole. But if that same exact client gets in their car, drives, hits somebody, that person happened to be a dentist, they can no longer work and they sue you for it, you don't have proper auto and umbrella coverage, we didn't do our job. We just did not do our job. So we have to almost take that seriously and then use that seriousness and leverage it in the conversation to be assumptive and committed. We are committed to you to make sure you are educated on it and you know all forms of risk, and then we're going to offer you policies to protect you against those risks in the future. And if they still at that point push back and say, I'm only interested in home, which a lot of people will do. Sure. It's okay, that's fine, you're only interested, but I still have to do my job. And my job is to show you all the ways that we can protect you. If the person ends up deciding to move forward just home or just not move forward at all, fine, that's up to them. But we know we've done our job. And we have given ourselves the best chance of selling more policies.
Amen. It's a commitment to our way. It's not a commitment for multiple policies per client. Multiple policies per client is a result of the commitment to our process.
Right.
And it works really well. The problem with this podcast is it's overly simple, the answer. If you take what Matt just outlined and put it into your process, I don't care if your benefits, commercial, personal, it works. It's the commitment to your process as opposed to I would like to.
Yeah.
That's it.
The successful sales reps that are able to do this really well, they get the why beforehand, because we said this earlier, how you phrase it, how you speak, and how the tone matters a lot. Because if the client hears it in your voice, they feel like you're just going through the process, and you're like, "Hey, our commitment to you is blah blah blah, and we're going to quote you all 4 policies." And they're going to feel that, and they feel like that you don't believe that. And now I sense salesiness, and so you need to be as important as it is to be consistent with this on every single file, every single prospect. Your passion and commitment to this needs to be right there. You need to be super confident that you are the best solve for all their needs.
Done. That's it. And the promised land where we're going with this is we have 2 to 3 policies per client. We have plenty of monoline cases still. It's going to happen.
Yep.
We do have a commitment to our process. We will show people and educate them on all forms of their risk, and they might only choose one.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
That's why you have email drip marketing. That's why you have CRMs. That's why you can still X-date down the road. But this will lessen the burden of your follow-up system.
Absolutely. We only have so many hours to work each week. We only have so many people we can quote. And getting the most out of every single client is not just best for us, it's best for them.
Done. Put this into action. Make your own commitment statement. Make it about the client, not about you. Execute and watch your policies per client soar.
Amen. BobbleOn.
BobbleOn 2020.